If you are out there, turn off your cell phone, please. And if you want to speak, if you want to turn in a slip so you can speak either on an issue or on open forum. With that, let's get our pledge. Lloyd, would you like to do a pledge?
Sure.
Want to turn the flag upside down?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Chris, could you get me a roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Wolf? Commissioner Rekstad?
Present.
Commissioner Markarian? Commissioner Brzee?
Present on the telephone.
Okay. Commissioner Work?
Present.
Vice Chair Work?
That's okay. Both are correct.
And
Here.
Chair Algauer.
Here. So, Banner, we have any public comment?
No public comment. Slips have been received for items not on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda, we have again approval. The consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll move the item.
Thank you. You have a second?
Commissioner Brzee.
We had a second. Lloyd, did you say second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that's good. Okay, let's move to the hearing in the first order of business.
On the consent agenda, did that include the approval of the minutes? Because
Yeah, I didn't
Oh.
see that.
I was abstaining from that, so.
Yeah, a minute.
The only consent item was the minutes
The
from
minutes, so
October 7th.
I'm abstaining from that. I was not here on that. That was my birthday.
So we need approval of the minutes of the October 7th meeting.
That was the
That was on
consent
the
item.
consent agenda. That's what you did. That was the consent agenda. I was just
Oh, I
clarifying
see.
that I
Oh,
couldn't vote
okay.
on that.
All right. I thought you were asking that for that.
No, I'm
separately.
sorry.
Okay.
No.
Okay, the first item is that pause mission, a commercial use permit to establish a commercial catering in a residential location.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Before you is case number 17073. It's a conditional use permit to establish commercial catering at a residential property at 13229 7th Place. Property is within the city's rural living 2.5 acre minimum lot size land use district and is on a 4.6 acre parcel that features an existing single family residence and then also features a unpermitted cat rescue facility that was cited by code enforcement, and the application has been provided to address that code enforcement violation that was occurring. Now, as part of the code enforcement action, staff did reach out to the former operator, which was under a different property owner for the rescue, and then a new property owner took over and is also continuing the CUP. As part of it, they are planning to demolish and have been clearing out a lot of the unpermitted structures that are along the northern side of the property line for the cat rescue, and instead is going to be building new structures or installing new structures at the south end in a more orderly fashion that can meet the building code requirements. The structure facilities would be on the southern side of the site, and then parking would also be installed to provide spaces for volunteers that are working at the cat rescue, and then also providing, for those that may come in to provide assistance. And then the existing residents would also remain on site. Now, for the cattery area, there's
Sorry, Ben, I'm sorry, can you back that up a little bit? What was for the employees in the Volunteers?
Parking spaces, paved parking spaces.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
And then for the cattery area that's proposed, a prefabricated metal barn would be the primary facility for where cats would be stored, and then there would be some additional structures to accommodate cats. Their site plan and proposals for a maximum of 125 cats and 10 dogs at a time would be their limit that they would have for the site. And then attached in the packet is some elevations showing the proposed structures. They'll be painted all matching colors to kind of harmonize within each other with white and black trim. And then it's just prefabricated structures that would be placed on site. When the project was routed for review, 2 comment letters were received in support of the cat facility, or the cat rescue facility. And then 1 letter was in concern over the unpermitted structures. So this code enforcement case originally came through some of the structures that were being constructed before. As noted earlier, though, that was under a prior rescue business, and then someone else bought the property and then is cleaning everything up and then proposing this configuration instead in order to better have something that meets the building code requirements. And with that, some site photos showing the location. One is from 7th Place, the photo on the right, and then the other one is from kind of along Street. And with that, staff does recommend approval of the project. Happy to answer any questions on this particular project.
Anyone have any questions for staff at this time?
I have lots of questions, but I might wait until this is over. Is there going to be a presentation by the applicant?
Thought they were going to be here, but I don't see them at present.
Okay, but then I have to ask you. On this, there is no major variance for side yard setback request, right?
No, there isn't.
Okay, I read that in this letter and I didn't find it.
So, and part of it is with the history of the project. So, as noted, this CUP was originally submitted under a prior ownership of the site, and so they were hoping to permit the unpermitted structures on site to make that work. And so, based on where they placed all the structures, it was too close to the side property line, so a major variance was going to be required. But through discussions that we've had with that operator, the buildings, it was kind of a mismatch of structures that organically kind of grew on site. And looking through it with meeting with the fire marshal and building safety staff, the ability to make those structures meet building code requirements would be cost prohibitive. They ended up selling the property to someone else, which is the Paws Mission, and their as part of their efforts, they recognized that those structures weren't salvageable, and so they had scrapped the original design and said, we want to do something that's more orderly, something that we can actually meet building code requirements, and so we're going to start with a new area on site. And then their proposal on the south end was one to limit the potential challenges for access for fire department, but then also it would place the cattery operation further away from the existing residences around the site. And so their goal was to kind of shift everything away from being 5 feet from property line at the north end and those homes, but instead have it closer to the channel instead.
Okay. The parking, what is that based on? What are you just taking their word for it, that that's all that they need?
There is no specific parking code requirements in our development code for kind of rescue facilities. And so-
And my problem with this is that I know what it takes and how many people, and this is more cats than, this is a lot of cats. So this is gonna take a lot of people, volunteers and employees. My problem is that if they don't have room, where are they going to park? Are they going to park on the street? And this is a residential area. It's not commercial or industrial or what's the other zoning for hospitals and stuff like
Institutional
that?
or something, yeah,
Institutional,
yep.
that's the word I was thinking. I knew it started with an I. Anyway, so what's the street parking look like? There's houses right there, right?
So there's that. They're proposing this. I'll give, I guess, some context on the site before. So this current total is 125 cats. When it was originally cited for the prior operator, they had over 200 cats at that facility.
Yeah.
And had no designated parking spaces. And as far as I'm aware, there was never a complaint made on people parking in the street or anything like that. It just was kind of there. And so in this case, the reduction of the capacity and then having an actual designated parking space area was what they were proposing to make that work with their volunteers.
Okay, perhaps we need to condition that the employees and volunteers can't park on the street. Can we do that?
And I think we can add a condition if the planning commission would like to do that.
Okay, that they just have to have adequate on-site parking. Because that's gonna change depending on what they're doing. You know, so, and when they have people coming, I'm assuming that they're not just going to have staff and volunteers, they're going to have people coming to adopt cats. So they will have public coming in and out, and they will have to have a place for those people to park.
My understanding is it will be limited public access, that they tend to reach out more as part of their rescue operation to other like PetSmart or something like that where they can bring,
So they take the cats somewhere else?
yeah, for the adoption.
Okay. Well, that's good, as long as that's what happens. That's fine. But
That was their business plan was to have that way they don't
that's a
have as
good,
much
that's
people on.
good, that's a good plan. The catteries themselves, the areas in between that I assume are going to be yards for outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
and the cats can go in and out.
Within the actual structures, they can go in and out, but then they would be contained to the facility structure. They wouldn't be able to run around the
Right,
overall
I just
property.
wanted to make sure that they are covered.
Mhm.
The outside structures, I mean, the outside patios between those, where you've got the small catteries,
Mhm.
that area is all covered, at least with chain link or something, right?
Yeah, the elevations do identify that they'll be fully enclosed structures so that
Because they
cats
call
aren't.
them, on the one plan, they're calling them sheds. So I'm like, is that a cat? It's supposed to be a cattery, but it's identified as a shed. Are they air conditioned or heating in those?
I'm not aware of if they are doing air
What's
conditioning.
the airflow then for the animals? These are metal buildings, so it's kind of a concern.
Yeah, I don't know what that level of detail, what they're doing within the individual building.
Well, I mean, I'm very concerned with that. You either need to have windows that open and fans or something, and they're metal buildings. So I don't like the idea of saying, we're gonna have dogs and cats in hot boxes, you know? That's why I wish they were here. I would like to know. So I'm not sure that I am ready to, I'll just keep, I'll sit back and let everybody else ask questions they want to for now. Thank you.
Is there a number of they can have? I mean,
Per square
Animal,
foot
huh?
or something?
what's that?
Per square foot or
Yeah,
something?
is there some, is there some code for a total number that they can have? I mean,
There's nothing in our development code. It would be just whether or not, as part of going through the county and the animal services, that they
Right.
have whatever requirements that they have as part of that process. So the actual operations for the animal care itself is handled through county rather than a city code.
so that's more on the county side then.
I don't know. If they were here, it would sure be nice to be able to ask these questions.
Yeah, I know. Well, with that, seeing all the applicants not here, I guess I'll just close the public hearing and move right to the commissioners. So, Mr. Wolf, you have anything you want to lay in on this? Are you there? How about Bart? Are you there?
I am here, Mr. Chairman. I had a question, and maybe Ben doesn't know the answer because it ties into that previous one, and that is if this is permitted by a state or county agency.
Yeah, the county would do the review. Staff actually has met with the county animal control as well for the cattery facilities on this facility in the past as well. So they've aware of the site and have looked at it. In terms of how the configuration was for the cats, they did say it was, for their purposes, laid out okay, it's just the existing structures didn't meet the building code stuff, and so that's why they're proposing a different design.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Lloyd?
Compliance issues with the, I don't know, the animal, county animal control. Are they involved? I didn't quite get it. They are involved in the signing off on this project as far as code, you know, compatibility and all that sort of thing? Because in following up with Commissioner Work's questions about the conditions for the animals, I think that would be something that none of us really know the specifics of, but I would think the county animal enforcement would be experts in that.
Yeah, the county animal control has been to the site, and so they do have purview over commercial catteries and kennels in those facilities.
So if calls come in about the issue, that's referred to the county?
For the animal well-being, animal well-being, correct? If there's
Right,
calls
okay.
about that, yeah, the county would be the ones that respond to that.
Okay.
Is the whole piece of property, is it all fenced?
I believe there's fencing around the entire site.
You believe, or is there fencing?
I think there's a chain link fence around the entire site.
If they're going to have dogs as well, cats can get over fences very easily, but if they've got kennels for 10 dogs, they need to be able to at least not get off the property. Particularly the wash, you know, that has access to all kinds of wild animals as well, so to have those other animals not come on the property.
Yeah, it does appear, looking at the photos, that there is a chain link fence that runs around the property. And then they do propose a gate at the front entrance as well.
I saw a big gate at the driveway there, right? Is the access to the house through that parking lot and around where I saw a drive, is that the only access to the house?
That is correct.
So that's the only driveway in and out? There's no other way for fire to get in?
No, it'd just be from that spot off 7th Place.
Okay. And fire's okay with that? Okay. And are they required to be sprinklered?
Depends on the size of the structure. I don't think this particular structure size would require a sprinkler, but they are proposing
I
a
think if
water
they're-
tank on the site.
I could be, yeah, I was gonna ask about that also, because that's on the, what is that?
So that is in lieu of, because they don't have a fire hydrant at the site, so it provides the water fire flow that's required for those buildings.
How many gallons is that? And that's water on site that has to be there, right? Because I have friends that had to put in a pool because they weren't close enough to a fire hydrant. So that's something that's not there now. They're just going to have to add it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so as part of the operation, before those buildings are operational, the water tank that meets the fire flow requirements of the fire marshal would be installed.
Okay, and then they're just gonna do curb and gutter at the entrance?
That is correct.
Okay, and what was the other question I had? Oh, the roll-up doors. What's up with the roll-up doors? What are those buildings for, if that's a cattery?
That may be just because it's a prefab structure that they're getting from someone. That's what they have.
Be like a herd of cats coming out when you put the door up. I don't get it, but, You know, it looks
So
more
they
like,
do
it looks more like
identify-
a barn than it does a cat, you know, like, are the cats gonna be in cages, are the cats gonna be? Okay,
Yeah, there'll be more spaces, and then some of the rooms, so there's like a laundry room and some,
I saw that one.
and so that maybe where the roll-up
That, where the
doors.
lot, is that where the roll-up doors are?
I think at least one of the roll-up doors is where that laundry room is.
But I wasn't gonna get into unwrapping this whole thing, but I just can't believe they're not here. I have all these questions. I'm not gonna do it.
So they're actually building the setbacks, asking for 5-foot setbacks. There's actually, are they putting in a permanent structures within that area up to that 5 feet?
No structures are proposed within the required building setback. So this being in the rural living, the setbacks are actually larger. And the existing structures that were unpermitted as part of the prior rescue were too close to the property line. And so that originally we're going to do a variance to try to permit those in those locations, but based on the structure construction, it wasn't something that was salvageable, so.
That's what I remember. The sprinklers were, at Yaps, were not required unless we were putting in a residence. So I guess my question is, does that residence have to be sprinklered? The
The-
existing residence, because there isn't a hydrant, does that house need to have fire sprinklers?
The existing house does not, because it was built to whatever the fire codes were at that time, and they're not modifying or expanding that residence footprint.
Doesn't this affect all of that, the whole piece of property? When you're gonna make a change to it, you have to bring everything up to code, don't you? And you're gonna use it for commercial purposes?
The residence would remain as a residence. It would not be as part of the commercial operation.
And who's gonna live in it?
The,
Employees, right?
is the people that own the rescue would be the ones that live there.
Okay, so they're not employed by Pause Mission.
They are the owners of Pause Mission, but it's still, for all intents and purposes, still a residence, and then on-site with a cattery connected to it.
And the only other question that I had was the landscaping. I don't really see a landscaping plan per se. There's trees already there. Are they doing nothing on the,
It will be mostly what it is now, and they'll tidy everything up for the buildings, but a lot of the site will kind of remain as it is now.
okay. I don't know if we've ever approved things for architectural and everything like that without having more information. I don't know.
It's an interesting piece of property too. I mean, it took me forever just to find the place.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you get there and, yeah, it'll be pretty hidden, I guess. It's kind of up above where the parking, I see are they gonna change the parking, the location of the parking? Because where I turned around, it said guest parking or visitor parking, and then you go through this little channel kind of to go up to your left, and I didn't go up there because I didn't want to get stuck up there or something.
Yeah, the configuration that was there with when this project originally came to the planning department review, it was you had to go up the driveway all the way up to where the house was and park there, and then if you had enough room to turn around, you would turn around up there and then pull down, or you were driving down backwards down that. And so it was not a appropriate design for any sort of commercial activity. And so this layout instead really separates what the existing residence is and the limited access to that stretch,
Yeah.
and then consolidates the cattery there. And it was, as noted earlier, this project originally came to our attention because of some of the structures that were being placed on there, and I think one of them just got too close to one of the adjoining property owners, and they're like, hey, what's going on? And so it wasn't necessarily an issue with the cannery facilities, just was where they were placing stuff. When we did the inspections, it was with the building official, myself, and then the fire marshal, and then the animal county control, and it's like these structures, in terms of the cattery operation, kind of worked. You know, there wasn't odors or anything like that associated with the cat rescue that was discernible. It just was, this is a very organic form of construction that would be very difficult to actually meet building code requirements. And so when they ended up selling the property to Paws Mission, they said, we will make something that's a lot easier, a lot more usable for that operation, so.
And so since they're not going to have a really open to the public or whatever, we don't have to worry about compliance with ADA?
So they are still required to provide compliance to ADA to the extent for some of that facility, and so they do have
I
an
saw a
ADA
ramp,
spot and the ramp and
right,
stuff. And
but I meant as to the accessibility, there's just like decomposed granite. That's not really accessible to someone in a wheelchair or walker or something like that. So all of the areas are they gonna be blocked off then? I mean, so that they don't have to comply with that?
They'll work with building safety on the permitting to make sure that the points of ADA accessibility are met, and then everything else beyond that would not.
Okay.
trigger that.
So fire, there's no need for a turnaround up there?
So
Fire
the parking lot area does provide a fire department turnaround spot, and so
okay.
that circles to facilitate that turnaround kind of requirement.
And then when I was up there, I noticed the residents are on just that one side. There's residents. And you say they're putting up a chain link fence there?
There's a chain link fence around the property right now.
A chain link.
What, is that all that separates the backyards of the houses,
Yeah.
the neighboring houses and that and the,
Houses all
and
on
the
that
cattery?
backside.
Yeah, so the property is further down, Seventh Place is just that existing fence is the separating.
And well, we don't have any problems right now with the neighbors. They aren't complaining about it, but it's,
No.
I'd like to see a vinyl fence along by the neighbors. But
a hedge or some, I mean, anything like that.
yeah, I'm with you.
Something, it could be a living even barrier or something that would look better than the chain link, because they are adding, it's probably gonna look a lot better than it does now, though. Just so,
Oh, no doubt about that.
yeah.
No doubt.
So, but if this were a different, if we had a developer going in there and doing something, we'd be making him put up
Oh, yeah.
a fence, wouldn't we? Yeah, between.
Is there
those-
any, maybe I hate to see them spend that money on a vinyl fence, but that, just to separate the neighbors, but if we could condition them to plant shrubs or I don't know.
Well, and I think we have a list of of plant materials that will do that, right?
I'd say in terms of perhaps tying it to the findings for land use compatibility, having a condition that requires some sort of solid screen between the two uses, so either be a fence, like a vinyl fence, wood fence, or a evergreen hedge.
You know, I think that we should at least condition that there has to be, so that in case that fence goes into disrepair or something is wrong with that, that it's a requirement that there be a fence. I mean, I think we should, even if there is a fence now, I just think that there should be a fence in good repair as well, you know, that be maintained. For the obvious reasons of animals, you know, being able to get in and out.
Is it possible that the property owner could come maybe to the next meeting and we could just ask him a few of these and kind of get a feel for how negotiable he is? Because these are important issues, and to try and just put them in a list of conditions is kind of, I think, is a little cold, but he chose not to be here tonight, and I'm surprised that he did, but I don't know him, so.
I would say it's certainly within the planning commission's purview to continue this item to the next meeting, which will be November 18th, I believe, and then provide an opportunity for the applicant to weigh in on some of the more.
So to continue the item, commissioners, how do you feel about this? Obviously, Mr. Wolf, you up there?
Yep, I'm good with continuing it.
Lloyd? You're good. And then Bart, you're up there too, right?
Yeah, I got no objection.
Okay.
I just think in all fairness, that would be the best thing to do as well. I don't think that it would be fair for us to, without talking, I mean, we could just do that. It's certainly our, but I don't think any of us want to.
It appears the general consensus is to continue the item.
So I'll need a motion and then a second for
Okay.
officially continue it, and then it will be to
Denise, give
November
me a motion.
18th for as a date certain.
Have Lloyd give you a motion, I'll second it.
Yeah. I move that we continue this discussion to the next meeting and invite the owner to be here.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Give me a roll call, Chris?
Commissioner Wolf,
Yes, I agree.
Commissioner Rickstad,
Yes.
Commissioner Markarian, Commissioner Brzee,
Yes.
Vice Chair Work,
Yes.
and Chair Algauer.
Yes. Unanimous. So we'll continue that item. Hang on to your paperwork. Next item we have is a special use permit in our architectural review to an unpermitted 800 square foot metal carport.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is case number 2097 for a special use permit and architectural review to permit an existing unpermitted 800 square foot metal carport located on a single-family residential property at 34985 Wildwood Canyon Road. The site is located south of Wildwood Canyon between 2nd Street and California Street. It has split zoning of RM 72C, which has a minimum lot size of 7,200 square feet, and RL 2.5, which is rural living, 2.5 acre minimum lot size. The lot's total is 4.3 acres and is improved with a single-family residence and a detached ADU. There's a drainage easement on the south of the property, which is Yucaipa Creek. So here's a site plan. The existing single-family residence is 1,871 square feet. There's an attached two-car garage and an ADU behind the existing single-family residence, which is 1,175 square feet. The carport is 800 square feet and fits within all required setbacks with the zoning. Elevations are here. The structure is made of galvanized silver metal steel and has metal footings to support the roof with a peak height of 12.4 feet. Here's some site photos. No public comments were received, and staff recommends to approve the architectural design of the proposed metal structure, adopt the special use permit findings, and a categorical exemption pursuant to CEQA Class 3, and direct staff to file a notice of exemption.
With that, anyone have any questions for staff at this time? Just one quick question. It says that on the map here, it says the existing carport permit is being applied under a separate entitlement.
Yeah, so they also submitted an application for an LUCR for the existing ADU to get that permitted as well. So they had the LUCR application as well as the SUP, which needs Planning Commission review and approval, whereas the LUCR can just be approved administratively at staff level.
They use the same site plan for both, and so that's why one references that. But this particular project is just the metal garage or the metal carport.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? If not, is the applicant here? Would you like to come down and make a presentation to us? Maybe we have some questions for you. Yeah.
I didn't plan a presentation. I didn't know what to expect. I actually bought this property around February timeframe, and the carport was already there, and I just assumed it was permitted.
Oh,
When we did the ADU application, we found out that it wasn't.
anybody have any questions for the applicant?
No.
He can state his name and address.
Bart, Wolf, any comments?
Wolf has no
Uh,
comment.
This is Brazil. Is it going to just continue to look the way it is in the pictures?
Yes, less the weeds.
So no paint or anything like that?
No,
All right.
So
Thank
you're-
you.
And you're here because you just came in to get the permit for the ADU, and that happened to come up?
yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So it wasn't a complaint-driven issue or anything like that?
no. I just assumed it was permitted
Yeah,
when I bought it.
right. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
Any public comment on this issue? No.
No.
Okay, with that, this is close the public hearing and move to the commissioners. Anybody? Mr. Wolf, you got any comments?
No comment.
Mr. Brzee, you have any comments?
No comments. Thank you.
Mr. Redstack, nothing?
No, I'm ready to make a motion.
Let's hear it.
Does anyone have any other comments? Nope,
I'm good.
no, okay. I'll make a motion to approve case number 20097, SUP and architectural special use permit and review and make the recommendations A through D. Direct staff to file a notice of exemption.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Chris, could you give me roll call?
Commissioner Wolf,
Yes.
Commissioner Rexstad,
Yes.
Commissioner Markarian, Commissioner Brzee,
Yes.
Vice Chair Work,
Yes,
and Chair Algauer.
Yes. Unanimous decision.
thank you. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
very much
in.
for appearing. Okay, next item we have are Coal Valley Partners, okay. This is for a conditional use permit for the establishment of a coffee stand in a drive-through located 13th Street and Yucaipa Boulevard. That'd be next to the fire station, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, sir. So as you mentioned, Chairman, this is for the establishment of an 871 square foot coffee stand with drive-through. And we have representatives from Coal Valley Partners present if you have any questions at the end of my presentation. So the site is located on the northeast corner of 13th Street and Yucaipa Boulevard. It's 0.96 acres and now has a general commercial land use designation after a previously approved zone change. Surrounding land uses include institutional north, open space and parks, as well as south there's general commercial and east is parks, west is institutional and general commercial. So back in January, City Council approved case number 19144, which was a minor general plan amendment to change the land use designation of 1.67 acres adjacent to Crafton Hills Fire Station from institutional and parks to general commercial to support future uses. So the arrows on the graphic up there show where that land use designation was changed. The star indicates the area of the lot of this current project. This is the site plan, and as I mentioned, it's a 871 square foot coffee stand. Access will be provided from 13th Street, and there will be landscaped slopes with a 2-to-1 ratio, slope ratio, and a drainage basin in the center of the site. Street improvements will be provided where necessary, and there will be no indoor seating, which is atypical of Dutch Brothers Coffee. However, there will be a walk-up window with canopy area and outdoor seating on the outside to accommodate for potential patrons that might visit from surrounding recreational facilities, as we have the parks north of the property. There will be a 2-lane drive-through, which will have a 12-foot wide lane and for each lane and a 4-foot center median providing separation. The coffee stand will comply with all general commercial district development standards and our general plan, including land use, building height, building and lot coverage, landscaping, setbacks, and parking, which is indicated in the staff report. There's been one change that was brought to my attention. Initially, there was 14 parking spots proposed. However, because of the need to place a generator for utilities on the site, one space has been removed. However, we're still in compliance with the general plan, having 13 total parking spaces, which is 3 more than the required 10. Here are the elevations provided, and I have left a materials exhibit with each of you. We don't have a board. However, you can see the thin brick and the veneers and color indicated on that pretty well. At the request of the city, the applicant did modify the prototype design to be more craftsman style with colors and materials to better reflect that. So you can see that on the provided exhibit. As well, the landscaping plan is in compliance with citywide design guidelines, including trees such as crepe myrtles and Chinese elms. There's a basin constructed at the center of the site, which will help slow the flow of runoff from the northeast to the southwest portion onto Yucaipa Boulevard. And the landscaping has also been conditioned to meet the city's water conservation ordinance. Pursuant to CEQA, this project qualifies for a Class 32 categorical exemption, characterized as infill development of less than 5 acres within a developed portion of the city. And no comments were received from the project notice. Here's some site photos. And it is recommended that the Planning Commission approve the CUP subject to conditions of approval, adopt the findings as well as a categorical exemption pursuant to Class 32, and direct staff to file a notice of exemption. I'm available for any questions as well as the project representatives.
Okay, question for staff. How many, is there seating? What is the seating in there? How many people?
So there's no seating inside the actual restaurant or the coffee shop, but there will be outdoor seating provided in that patio space. And that was part of the purchase and sale agreement for that site as well, to have the outdoor seating. So those that are at the outdoor recreational facilities can go there, get coffee, and then go back and watch their kids play.
So actually inside the building, there's no,
There's no seating. The canopy area is 10 by 26.
okay, so how many parking spots we have? 13, you said?
13, correct.
Okay. Got that ingress egress is on 13th Street only.
Yes.
And then a couple times during the day, in the morning, in the afternoon with school, is that gonna be an issue? I mean, you're gonna, I mean, you gotta, everybody's gonna be turning right, and then they're gonna be coming out. I mean, it's gonna, that time of day, everybody's going for coffee. I don't know, I just wonder how that was thought out.
So the design is to have the cars go off of 13th Street because that's a controlled and lighted intersection. And so then that way, any cars that are queuing for the drive-through are isolated off of Yucaipa Boulevard and then would wrap back around.
My problem with the drive-through is that although you got lots of stacking room here because you have two drive-throughs, are they going to sell food?
No, they just specialize in coffee.
It's
but
just coffee? Okay, and are there menu boards? I don't see a place on here for menu boards and ordering when you're in line.
There is a menu board provided, and then some landscaping to help screen it. I think it's kind of along the south end of the site. If you are familiar with Dutch Brothers and perhaps a representative on their menu board really doesn't have a lot on it. They actually have a very long list of coffee beverages, so they have different style coffees and then different flavors you can add. And so usually the menu board is more tailored to kind of their coffee of the day or something of that sort, and perhaps a representative. But if you have a chance to ever go on their website and look at their menu, it's not something that would fit on a menu board.
So we don't have to worry about don't we have a ordinance on that when it comes to the drive-through and the way that the menu board is lit and faces away from, it can't face Yucaipa Boulevard?
It's not a policy or code requirement, but it is something that we work with to avoid having menu boards readily readable from Yucaipa Boulevard, so it doesn't count as quasi-permanent signage that they wouldn't otherwise normally get. And so as part of the landscape plan, they will have additional screens to interfere with that visibility.
Don McMain's really, it was his pet peeve, I think, so it's really drilled into me from my beginning days. And the other problem, though, is that if people are coming in, you know how you've got all the parking, and the reason it occurs to me as being a problem is because of the high school, because they're going to be making that, probably they'll be really busy when school lets out or in the morning because they're going to all pile in here to drive through to get back out. And you could be blocking potentially all these parking spaces with people waiting to drive through. So if somebody's in a parking space, they may not be able to get out. I think we need to hear from the applicant because I think that this could be flipped a little bit and it might be better. So. Yeah, I don't know when you started looking at this site, but it was probably, I don't know if it was when school was still active, because you would know how 13th Street is, it really, I mean, because I'm going up and down there a lot myself, I avoid it at all costs in the early morning or when school lets out. It's a zoo. So you could be, it's a good spot. I think you're going to do really well. But this traffic circulation thing could become quite an issue. I don't know, staff, do you have any numbers for that traffic? We don't have Fermin here, but sorry.
No, I think we're discussing.
What was the question?
Are you referring to like a traffic study or something?
Well,
In the area?
I know there's probably not a traffic study for this because it's kind of I don't even know how many students go to that high school now. It's a lot.
There wouldn't be a traffic study required then, is that it?
I don't think so, right?
No, not for a
no.
project of this scale with
It's,
a
yeah,
traffic
not
study.
this size. We just made a couple of bad decisions over my 20 years that I still look at and live with, and they're really bad. And I just am afraid this might be a bad one too. So I would urge the gentleman that I'm talking to in the air that I wish I could see your faces. I think this really, I'm not inclined to give an approval tonight on this. I don't know how the others feel. I just would like to have some other alternatives. I see that. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's just, I think Commissioner Allgaier or Chairman Allgaier mentioned that that ingress and egress is tough. And it's not all the time, which is why probably a traffic study would say there's no problem because it's only during peak hours. But
If I can maybe address commission, so for those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm Katrina and I'm with the engineering department. And I just really want to point out two things because it sounds to me like you're concerned about the ingress off of 13th and might want to consider on Yucaipa Boulevard. But I do need to point out two things that engineering would be concerned with moving it along Yucaipa Boulevard.
okay.
That would be the existence of the bus stop that is on the south side of the property. We wouldn't want a driveway approach going through that bus stop. The other item is that that is a historical ingress egress for the fire station. And so we have conditioned them to do an easement since it's been existing there. So we really do want that drive aisle off of 13th Street so that the fire trucks can still access the fire station. Excuse me, I'm not used to talking in public.
You're doing great. Breathe.
And I would just kind of add kind of the third part when we were having discussions on the site design with the Dutch Brothers team. The grade differential along Yucaipa Boulevard also makes some of the ADA accessibility from the public right-of-way up there a little bit more difficult, but then also it limits the amount of vehicle queuing space that can be accommodated on site without it interfering onto the roadway. So really the design is to use as much off of Yucaipa Boulevard to facilitate that.
And I get that. And what I'm kind of thinking though is if you could have, there are a lot of issues with this site and I understand that, and the fire station being there, all these things are, but if you could have maybe only a one way in and one way out, where you don't have people stacking there waiting to get across because they want to turn left on 13th Street, that's going to back up this whole line too, because these people coming through the line are going to need to get out onto 13th. And if somebody's sitting there waiting to go left, they're going to be waiting a long time.
Uh-oh.
I just thought I'd add in here to add on to Katrina, Landon with the engineering department. Looking at the traffic questions that are coming up, one of the things I think with respect to the fire station access that Katrina was referring to, that is an existing condition, and I believe that the condition to keep that area clear would be a striping requirement on 13th Street. So this area right here, that would be striped so that no vehicles on 13th Street could block this area, and I believe that would be a requirement for the easement for the fire access, that to allow fire access in and out of this area.
What about that area just west? I guess they got that down as existing grades or limits of grade or something, on the other side of the building, on the west side.
The limits of the grading here.
Yeah, right in there, yeah. I mean, is it possible to put a driveway there right out to Yucaipa Boulevard or something?
I don't believe that would be able to be accommodated with the bus stop that's there now. Another thing I was gonna mention is that, as Ben highlighted, this is a signalized intersection. I think we're all familiar with this, this busy part of town, and we do have some unique peak morning and peak afternoon with the school drop-off and pickup locations. The signal is designed to accommodate that traffic, and we can certainly, you know, if this project were to move forward and have these new traffic conditions, we could work to adjust the timing of that signal.
Well, you're gonna have to put in an arrow then, because there's no arrow there. There's no left-hand turn signal there at 13th.
Yes, there is. If you're going down the boulevard.
No, but there's not from 13th Street. At 13th Street, I was just there today, I made a left-hand turn onto Yucaipa Boulevard. There's no arrow. It's a green light, but there's no left-hand turn.
Oh, I get you, okay.
The
right.
left turn phasing is a protected, or it's permissive, so it's just a green
Right,
light.
right, but it's not, I think that you might have to put in some different signaling there.
I don't believe that's one of the signals that we've studied.
Well, I don't know. Do you
recently.
do you understand what happens though? Because school lets out and the kids are in the crosswalk and the light screen. And I'm in the middle, I want to make a left-hand turn. And I can't go till the kids are out of there, and they don't clear out until the light's red and I make my turn. So if if there's people backed up on 13th waiting to make that turn, you're not going anywhere.
One of the reasons I highlighted the condition with this keep clear is that this section of 13th Street will be striped, and it will be illegal to actually have any traffic backing up here. So for the people that are going to be leaving the drive-through or the parking areas, they will have the option to turn left up to Chapman Heights Road and exit in that fashion, or they can turn right. As you're, I think, pointing out, the left turn can be difficult, especially in certain times of the day.
Like I say, for 1 hour during the day, yes. If you're coming out 13th Street and you want to make a left onto the boulevard,
You're not making,
it ain't gonna happen.
well, you might get one car through on a light. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the kids don't stop. The lights turn red, they're still walking. So, I mean, it really makes it tough making a left turn. And with that coffee shop, kids or parents are gonna stop in, get coffee, take the kids home, right? And now you've really got a backup there. And with no left turn sign there, it could be an issue. I mean, just for that, twice a day, I mean, but.
But it is, well, your office is on the boulevard. You know what it's like, because it's like that at 12th Street, it's like that at 13th Street, both. I mean, it's bad. So having it striped is good, but I mean, if you're gonna have an officer there to hand out tickets, these are high school students. So I just think that there's something with this that I know you're saying that we can't go on to, I was thinking maybe even if you had the ingress on 13th and the egress on Yucaipa Boulevard, and people could come out and go make a U-turn because we now have a median down there, but I mean, that's maybe an option. I don't know.
So how hard is it to get the left turn light?
It requires a traffic study, a left turn signal evaluation, that we would have to hire a consultant to perform the study and perform that information, the traffic counts, and
Right now, that'd be pretty invalid because
That's right,
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
for who knows how
But
long.
hopefully that's not
I mean, it
gonna,
won't be for the year.
not gonna
What's
be
an
in per.
idiot and
No,
Korean?
are you kidding? Schools are gonna open after Thanksgiving now.
Not true.
We haven't heard a thing about COVID for,
So let me ask you, Landon, then down the road, if this becomes an issue, is this something that the city would, you know, look at and say, hey, we gotta put a left turn light there now, or, I mean, is this, or just, that's it?
As a part of our maintenance of the traffic signals, we do look at intersections like this, and we have several CIP projects that we've studied. We've had intersections studied and evaluated the left turn phasing, much like we're talking about here. We have one we're going out to bid with, I think, in the next couple weeks. We have 4 more, I believe, that we'll be moving forward with. So that's not uncommon for us to evaluate signalized intersections like this over time as traffic conditions change with new development, new street improvements that go in. So we could certainly.
but at this point, you're saying that because of the bus stop and because of the fire station and what have you, there's really no way to even have an exit onto Yucaipa Boulevard.
And I think as Ben pointed out, I think there would probably be other considerations that we would need to discuss and look at carefully if a drive approach were on Yucaipa Boulevard being so close to this intersection.
No, not the approach,
could
just an exit.
An exit could present some other traffic-related concerns and conditions that would need to be
But you're
looked at. So
talking about-
you're talking about entrance to the site off of 13th Street and an exit on to Yucaipa Boulevard?
Somehow onto Yucaipa Boulevard.
Right turn only, obviously, but then,
Right.
as Ben mentioned, but yeah, you could come out and go up 13th Street to Chapman Heights, but that traffic is gonna be backed up on 13th Street. They're not gonna be able to get out to make a left turn.
Can you
he's
say
saying
that,
that
can
you
you say
will-
that
During
one more time?
During those peak hours, that's all.
Are you talking about traffic backing up so they can't get out?
Yeah.
Well, they can't back up here because it's a fire requirement for that lane to be cleared. So people stop before that, so that if the fire engines need to exit, this is never restricted.
You know there's a stop sign right above that though, don't you?
Yes, for the entrance to the,
To
yes.
Thunderbird Way.
Mhm.
Okay, so what happens is, because that's not really that far of a distance, so,
Kids are gonna do it.
right, and people are stopped at the stop sign. And it's hard to even get through that stop sign because they're coming out of Thunderbird and they're blocking that little intersection there. We're just looking at how much this is going to be a In-N-Out burger at Hampton Road, okay? It's not good with cars backed up.
Yeah, we warned them about in and out. And they said they had plan A, B, and C. I guess they ended up going to plan D, but I mean, here it looks like you're gonna create something, again, it's only a couple times during the day, so. I mean, I love the project. I think it'd be a great thing for the city of Yucaipa. I'd like to see it come in. I mean,
I like the architecture, I like everything about it.
Me
I
too.
don't like the flow, and I don't want to, I don't want to discourage them from coming at all, because like I said, they've got to, they're going to do well here, I think. This is a good spot,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's just not, this layout, I'm not, well, you know how I feel about this stuff
Yeah.
anyway, so I'll quit. That's my 2 cents.
But it is possible to have a study done after it's in place, and it's a little bit like closing the door of the barn after the horse is out, but at least it could be done if there is a real traffic problem there. Is that what you're saying?
It's a pretty common study to have performed and to evaluate the left turn phasing for that specific movement. And just the signalization for all approaches that could be performed.
And 13th Street is wide enough there to handle a center lane for left turn?
There is a left-hand turn lane,
Oh,
I
there is.
believe, isn't there?
I don't believe there is.
No, maybe there's not. But yes, I think it's wide enough.
It's wide enough.
I believe it is.
Just as one example, the new signal that we have just installed at 16th Street near the State Farm office
Yeah,
on Yucaipa Boulevard, that is a relatively narrow street coming down the hill.
yep.
And it was striped as a through right and left turn. I'd have to go back and confirm whether or not there's.
And you were taking your life in your hands if you used it before you put the signal in, though.
The signal was funded with Highway Safety Improvement Program funding, and we could look at the left turn phasing here option if that's something
Well.
that would help.
Okay.
I think it would definitely help. I mean,
The problem is any kind of a study right now will be invalid because there's no traffic.
right. There isn't any reason for it. My only other suggestion with this plan right here is to only have people, you can only come in from the right hand. I guess you could come in right and left, but you could only exit to the right. I don't know.
You can only exit to the right this way,
Right.
instead of turning left to
Yeah.
go to Chapman Heights Road.
Yeah.
I believe that's allowed, right? That movement would be allowed for people exiting the facility to turn left up the Chapman Heights Road.
I don't know that that's there, because there's nowhere for them, that if we if the streets were wide enough that we could put in a center turn lane there, you know, that you could merge in, I would say maybe, but no, I was thinking more of only being able to exit to the right when
So
you came out.
exiting the site and turning right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because as they come out, it's only one lane there on 13th Street,
Oh.
both directions.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so when you come out of the location, the building, to the right, there's a lot of open area right there. Is it possible to put in another lane? Just a right turn lane coming out, just for right turns?
I'm not
Follow
sure.
me?
I'm not
Right
sure I'm
there,
following
yeah.
you. You're talking about putting a right turn lane
Yeah, right there on that property, yeah, coming down, right down.
down
just-
here.
yeah,
Yeah,
to
and just
widen
turn-
it enough
and
to
then
have
making
a
a right turn on the boulevard. And then the people can go on up, make a U at 14th or make a right and go up to Chapman Boulevard. I don't know, it's just,
Because I'll tell you, it'd save you a lot of time if a lot of people would do that rather than fighting to go the opposite direction. And you don't want people sitting there and can't get out and turn left, and while they're waiting to turn left, because they think that they can, this whole thing just bottlenecks. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand your concern
Okay.
with the traffic at the peak
No, I just
hours
wondered
here
if
and
you
not being
understand.
able to turn left.
If it were easier to turn right, people would just turn right.
And you're talking about this movement here?
yeah, right in there along the building, what is that, open space or something right there, Brenton? Right next to 13th Street.
That's
Okay.
I think we
You know,
have to.
they have the exit lane.
Yeah, right in
He's talking
there.
about between the exit lane and 13th Street, that area right there.
Yeah, if you just move over next to the exit lane, there's a room to put in a lane right to Boulevard? Yeah, right there, right down there to the Boulevard.
From the driveway
Right.
to the
I
boulevard.
follow. I'm thinking about the proximity to the bus stop as well, and the proximity and the whole operation of the signal here. That would need, we would have to take a look at that, and then, you know, the right of way that would be required to construct
stop
those
there.
improvements. But yeah, the bus improvements right after the signal could. And we have the fire station here, which is also important to keep in mind. If we're gonna be changing anything at the corner condition here, that could potentially require a shift in this going toward the fire station, which I don't believe. Yeah, and it would require relocation of the traffic signal, underground equipment, the signal poles. That is located right in the ADA ramp area there.
Well, there's no easy way out of this except roll the dice.
Well, my other concern about the parking spaces, though, I think that you could probably flip this elevation and put the building over here and the parking over here. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but,
Does that change the entry exit
yeah, it does.
configuration you were referring to earlier?
So that the entry exit doesn't go in between the parking spaces. So that we put the parking, you push the buildings, is that north?
This may be a question for Ben,
Yeah,
Addie,
and
or
they-
the
and it's-
applicant, but if there is another exit point, could that potentially impact the ability for the length of the drive-through and the stacking and the storage of vehicles in there? I'm just trying to.
You know, we could put Landon out there with a little counter.
I'm a yes man, I'll do it.
Okay, if we,
From a traffic standpoint, if I may ask the applicants, is there an hour or two in the morning and afternoon that you typically see at your other locations? A peak?
okay, well, we haven't heard from Mr. Braziz or Mr. Wolf. You have any comments?
This is Commissioner Brazili. I think you've pretty well addressed the concern I have. Anyone who's had to take kids to the high school understands the potential conflict here. So thank you for your thorough questions and discussion on that.
Okay.
This is Wolf. I'm excited for this project. I've been to several Dutch Brothers in Oregon, and they got great coffee, and it's just a different feeling going there versus driving through a Starbucks or some other place. However, I agree with Denise. I don't know if we can condition it or not, but during certain hours, why can't we say you can only make a right-hand turn between, 7 a.m. and 8 a.m., for example? Make a right-hand turn out, and if you want to wait to try to make a left, you can. But if you're patron and you want to avoid that and just make the right-hand turn on Yucaipa Boulevard or go straight, then you can do that too. And we do the same thing for in the evening. So no left turn between this time and this time, just like no parking between this time and this time. And then the rest of the day doesn't matter. That's just my thought, but I like the project.
Can I ask a clarifying question here? This is Landon. I just want to make sure I understand your concept here for the right out, the exiting right turn only. Are you referring to the exit leaving the Dutch Brothers onto 13th Street, turning right only toward Yucaipa Boulevard and not allowing a left turn movement certain times of the day?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can go straight or
And
turn right.
That
well,
right. So you can only turn right because so coming out of there right now, you'd only be able to make a right or a left. But the issue is people trying to make a left, and we haven't even talked about Little League yet. And
That's
when they do the BMX, I mean, I live right there. I'm on that street every day. So when Little League is going on, when the skate park fills up, as a city, we have plans to build some more outdoor locations over there. When the BMX park, when they do their events, it gets very, very busy. That whole street does. And, with the time of the high school, right, with this project, you either make a right or you make a left out of that parking lot onto 13th Street. And what Denise has brought up is if you're going to make a left, you're going to be sitting there for a long time, and that's going to back up all of the traffic inside of the location. And our job also, in my opinion, is to make sure that this place is going to be, is going to be successful. And nobody's going to want to go there if they're going to be sitting in a parking lot trying to get out, and nobody can get through the drive-through because somebody's trying to make a left. So during certain times, you do the traffic study. They said they would assist with that or pay for that. So if we can condition that you have to make a right during certain times of the day, only right-hand turn only onto 13th Street, then that would help mitigate a lot of that traffic that we're talking about.
The other option would be to make that driveway wider so that you have, room. If somebody's waiting, then everybody else can go around him and turn right. But so it's more than enough room because right now you just have room for one car in and one car out. If you made that driveway wider so there was a place for a left-hand turn lane and a right-hand turn lane, then people that didn't want to sit and wait can all go out on the right.
I hear your concerns. One thought I'm having is perhaps with some of these concepts that are being discussed is again the one thing I keep bringing up, and forgive me if I'm being repetitive, but it is important to recognize that this is an existing keep clear zone. So
We do recognize that, but it is an existing keep clear zone. Do you think it's ever clear?
What I was going to suggest is that with the improvements that will be required for the construction of this project, including all of the right-of-way improvements, the sidewalk improvements, the street improvements, the drive approach, there may be opportunities, and we could get input from traffic engineering consultants on how to perhaps modify the striping and signage to make it very obvious that this is an area that cannot allow for queuing. We could coordinate with PD to enhance the enforcement. We meet with them monthly to try to get that out there. That was just an idea that we could discuss. Changing the striping and signage in order to, it's gonna have to be changed anyway because the location of the drive is slightly different than the existing condition. But there would be opportunities to perhaps stripe it a little bit differently to make it more obvious.
Landon, you don't like...
Oh, no. You can't see I'm smiling with the mask. I don't know if maybe I should take it off.
I mean, I think it's...
Go ahead. Is that you, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question I have is we're doing a lot. We're having a lot of conversation. Everything is about exiting this location. Does that have anything to do with us approving this as far as Dutch Brothers, or are we talking about city issues with the street?
It's all connected.
That's all the building.
So we but we can't condition Dutch Brothers to say a right-hand turn only, right? That's a city, or can we?
No, that needs to be part of our approval process, I think. But
So we can tell the city that for us to approve it, that's one of the requirements, versus telling the applicant that.
we are the city.
Okay.
So
we're going to say to engineering, or whoever, whatever department, this is something that they need to do if we're going to make this
or else,
project go through.
they'll argue with us, and Landon will say, no, we've got to study this some more. But, yeah, is there room to add a left-hand turn lane? Is there room for 3 cars in that driveway?
So right now, the proposed drive approach is 24 feet wide, a commercial drive approach. So what you were suggesting is perhaps looking at a wider drive approach to allow for an 1 lane entering, 2 lanes exiting, 1 being a right turn exit only, 1 being for left turns only. Was that what you were suggesting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want to see the project get approved and move on, and I'm comfortable with the fact that we've let Landon know about our issues, to have them go back and look at them again, and then between them and the developer to come up with a solution. I mean, I'm not an architect, or I don't have Landon's credentials, but I mean, I'm sure you can look at the project and figure out we have to do something. And
Well, if the applicant can tell me right now and tell us that they can change that, I think we could probably make an agreement to do that. I think that might solve the problem. I mean, it won't solve totally the problem. We still got to worry about 13th Street's left-hand turn lane, but we need that anyway. Yes.
you what?
Where your exit lane is next to your drive-through,
Three exit lanes.
Well, we live with In and Out and all the issues they have, and I guess yeah, but if we add that right turn lane,
so on the side where the proposed pad location for the transformer is, and there's between that parking space and the approach, that 32.5 feet approximately, and then it's 8 feet up to the transformer. There isn't any room to move that right there? You can't eke out a couple feet on that side and a couple.
Yeah.
So the normal parking space is 19 feet, which is shown, and then compact spaces, I think, are 15 feet deep. And then only 25% of the parking spaces can be compact.
Landon, right where the exit lane kind of meets.
Oh, that's okay. I'm comfortable with you being here, sure. Yeah. Mhm.
All right, this is Wolf again.
Yeah, to make it. So that to be-
Really should be.
Yeah, let's do it over the.
So this is Wolf. You know, in listening, unfortunately, I couldn't be there tonight. It'd be a lot easier if I was. So, and just kind of listening to all of this, it to me, it just seems like the applicant and our city staff, you guys aren't quite understanding the concerns of the planning commission. Striping, that's great. You guys have a beautiful project. Everything about the project we all love. Where the parking spots are, everything. The issue is getting out onto 13th Street. Stop signs are meant for people to stop, but they constantly don't. Traffic signs saying 65 miles an hour, people are constantly going above 65 miles an hour. So we can strive, we can do everything we want to do, but the concern of the planning commission, and correct me, you guys, if I'm speaking out of turn, is for us not to have the same issue we're having with In-N-Out. So it's getting onto 13th Street. It's not necessarily the issue with this project. It's the issue getting onto 13th Street. So the question is, how do we resolve that issue so we can move this project forward, which I think everybody wants to do. And we're looking for our city staff to tell us how we can do that with addressing our concerns. And I don't feel like we've heard that yet. And then additionally, we have the applicant saying that they're willing to pay for a traffic study. I don't know how much something like that costs, but I think that should be significant. You know, saying that they're willing to assist with this issue of 13th Street. Am I wrong? Anybody?
No, I think you're right, Aaron. I mean, like, I think what you touched on is, I think that, you know, that staff, I think, Brandon's right on is what we want. We need to get something done, but what the answer is, I don't know. I mean, what would be to send it back? I mean, I want to approve the project, but we have to have, you know, are we gonna have staff look at, you know, coming up with a solution within staff to fix this problem? So we can approve the project, or?
And I agree with everything that you had to say as well, Aaron, but as Commissioner Rex had said already, and Allgauer, a traffic study is great, but it isn't gonna do us any good right now when school's not in session. So we need to have, and maybe we won't have a problem right now,
Right.
you know, because school's not in session. So if we, you know, if you all want to approve it on the basis of that and push it forward and say, when school's back in, we'll do a traffic study, you know, I guess that's up to you. I'm not inclined.
Well, I agree with
I've
you,
made
Denise.
too many
I'm-
mistakes over 20 years that I don't like looking at, and I don't want to make another one. And I know this is going to be, I just, as sure as I knew In-N-Out was going to be a problem, I know this will be a problem.
Well,
and
to
I agree
me-
with you. So this is Wolf. I agree with you. You know, the other thing is, we're not going to see the results right now because school's not in session. Again, being somebody who drives by this location all the time, I mean, Farmer Boys is right on the other side of the street, and we go there once a week. We also haven't, again, accounted for, the Little League. I can't tell you how big National League is, and then the tournaments that they have at that park. That street gets very, very. They'll put 1,000 people at the BMX park. Yeah. And once sports start back up with the baseball fields being right there for the high school, and everybody knows this town's a baseball town. Everything gets packed. So
I know.
what we're going to see today is not what we're going to see a year from now. Mm-hmm. And that's the concern, is looking forward. It's what issues are we going to have, and how do we address those issues? And I'm inclined to say I think we should send the project back, and I think the city understands our concerns, and the applicant has done what they can do, and I think the city needs to look at it a little bit more, and they need to come back to us with them also thinking about what this could look like a year from now, not what it's going to look like today.
And the idea of putting that facility or restaurant or coffee shop in that area is going to benefit both the skateboard, BMX, softball. Everybody benefits from it.
Oh, everybody's going to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, okay,
They're going to hate it.
we got a traffic problem. Okay, well, it's just, I think we just, deal with it and let the city figure out down the road, hey, we got an issue, and let them deal with it. I mean, we've brought it to their attention that we're not, let the experts here kind of go back to the drawing board and come up with a solution. I mean, at least Landon knows what our issues are, and they can probably come up with the best solution they can. And then we just kind of roll with it, because that facility right there is going to benefit. I mean, all that's going to be built up there with that park and everything. So that's a fantastic location for that kind of a facility.
Right. When you have Crafton Village, eventually that's going to go on, right a block away. So it's going to be a great area. I'm inclined, there's 20 plus cars that can sit in that parking lot. And I've been to Dutch Brothers many times. They're very, very fast. You get in and out. I've said it before. As long as we say, hey, during peak hours, you can only make a right-hand turn, I would be fine with it. Because once you pull onto 13th Street, you can make the decision. Do you want to wait for your left, or do you want to just go right and make it easier? And I think that solves the issue.
Yeah, that my two issues, I think that could solve that one. The other one down the road, we do need a left-hand turn.
And then, like JR said, that's something that the city would need to. Okay, we're having a lot of complaints. Let's deal with 13th Street.
Well, I think there's a couple solutions. I think that maybe Landon and the engineering department come up with the best solution. So that's, I'd rather put it in their hands, knowing that we have a definite issue, and I think they understand that.
So just so we do keep a list of traffic signals that need to be evaluated on an annual basis. As Landon mentioned, we're doing some left turn phasing analyses. We will be turning Yucaipa Valley Circle into a protected left turn based on an analysis for the left turn phasing. So it would not be out of the norm to do a left turn phasing analysis for 13 and Yucaipa Boulevard. So what we can do as staff is add that to our list of intersections that we evaluate and see. I do think, like you mentioned before, it would be better to do that when school is back in a normal session. So we can do that on a staff level, just get that signal evaluated once traffic flows are a little bit more normal.
Although we like to see the project get started,
JR, can we condition that you during peak hours, whatever, we don't know what those are going to be right now, but when those are established, that you can only make a right-hand turn?
Well, then again, I think
Huh?
Landon's issue, keeping that clear, I mean, it's gonna be painted yellow, I imagine, or striped or somehow, you know, to keeping it clear. Hopefully that is supposed to be the solution, you know, to keep it clear, but whether or not people actually, I mean, that's beside the point. Like you say, they're gonna break the rules anyways. But I mean, I like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the project, you know, with the conditional use permit, but advising or suggesting that staff go and look at the ingress, egress, and a solution to what our issues are. And then approve the project on that condition that staff will come up with the solution to the issue that we've brought forth.
So the motion would be to approve the project kind of as is, but to make minor site revisions that would abate some of the traffic concerns.
Yes.
At least, or incorporating some of those measures that may help smooth kind of that exit from the facility.
I'll make
Right.
that motion. You got that, Chris?
Okay, so at least we got a motion and a second from Lloyd to move the project with having staff taking a look at a solution to what we've brought forth. Landon, you understand, right? What we want, okay?
Completely. Yeah, I think the idea is that the exiting this proposed facility to make that as efficient and safe as possible with relooking at the site with potential modifications.
Okay,
And traffic engineering input would certainly help.
Whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
And what's a realistic schedule for this being built and opened and operational anyway? I mean, it's how many months? 6, 8 months?
It's more of a question for the applicant, really. I'm not sure if you have any sample projects of how quickly construction takes once you actually break ground.
So there's gonna be, it's gonna open with no school anyway, and who knows if we'll have school next year. So it could be a while before we realize any traffic problems anyway.
okay, but with that, we do have a motion, the second, to approve the project with the verbiage that Ben had mentioned about letting staff take it back and evaluate the situation. So with that, Chris, can you give me a roll call?
So who did the first?
I made a motion and Mr. Rittstad over here
Second.
seconded it.
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question before you take a vote.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious if, what the reaction is from the applicant.
Was that question for Ben? I couldn't hear who the question was.
For the
Sorry,
applicant.
no, it's for the applicant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay,
Can I ask one question just for clarification?
ahead.
We've talked a lot about the exiting right only, and in particular exiting right only potentially at certain in certain time
If that's
frames.
if that's the best solution you
Right.
come up with.
Is the intent behind the right only, is that a safety concern? Or is it a moving people out of the parking lot? What is the motivation behind the right turn? I just want to make sure I understand the
It's
concerns.
getting people out of the parking lot and off the street and keeping a bottleneck from occurring.
Okay.
That's-
I'm just thinking about when the signal is red and
Well,
it's
if you
green
make a
for you.
right-hand turn, you can make a right-hand turn at the signal and go do a U-turn.
Is there, when the signal is red, are there 2 lanes going southbound?
Plenty of room for a right-hand turn.
Okay.
So then going down
3 lanes.
13th Street, they're either gonna make a right turn, and if you have a no left turn from certain hours, they have to go straight on through. They got 2 choices. That keeps the traffic moving.
I appreciate the clarification. I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, okay.
We have talked a little bit, of course, about.
That is one of
the
our
striping,
suggestions.
The left turn movement, and the experience with this area and that being a challenging maneuver when there's a lot of traffic with the school. I certainly appreciate that input, so.
Okay. With that then, any other comments before we take a vote? I hear none. Chris, could you give me a roll call?
Commissioner Wolf,
Yes.
Commissioner Rickstead,
Yes.
Commissioner Markarian, Commissioner Brzee,
Yes.
Vice Chair Work,
No.
Chair Algauer.
Yes. So 4-1. And just for, kind of for the record, Ben, once they come up with a solution, can they bring that back and kind of as the information, what they come up with?
I can provide an update on those changes that were
Okay,
implemented.
all right. Thank you. Okay, with that, we have any comments from the commissioners or anything?
So
Do you
announcements.
have anything or?
Just a few quick announcements. So we will have a meeting on November 18th, so next, the following Wednesday. For those that were not here at the last meeting, Madeline Jordan, or Maddie, is our new assistant planner, so she's already
Stand up and take a bow.
already working there, so I just wanted to introduce her for those that are new. Wanted to send a reminder, November 9th is the city council recognition for the committees and commissions, so those
When is
What?
it?
Next Monday.
Monday, November 9th.
What date? November?
November 9th.
Monday.
Is that Veterans Day?
The city council will recognize those on the commissions. And so certainly want to kind of reiterate that for the planning commissioners, an appreciation for your guys' service this past year. Also did want to note, as part of the policy of city council, every year the committees and commissions are up for reappointment. So those that are interested in serving another term, turn in your citizen service application to the city clerk's office for that. So just wanted to say that for those that do want to continue serving. And then the final one was Kathy Flens is no longer on the planning commission. Her family health issues, or her mother is having issues, and so she had to step aside for that. So it's very unfortunate for her, but certainly wish her the best and appreciation of all her years of service on the planning commission.
What, will her seat remain vacant then until January?
I believe it will just remain vacant, and then we won't have a new planning commissioner appointed
Right,
for the
because she was
2
appointed
meetings.
by Denise Allen, so we'll just have a new planning commissioner. And I'm 9 votes short of a spot, so.
You're 9 votes away.
I'm 9 votes short. Might as well be 2,000.
You
so.
can still send in your citizen service application and go from there, but just wanted to put that out there, but certainly appreciation. I'll give another one as we get to the last meeting of the year, but appreciation for your guys' service this year's definitely been a very unique year and unique meetings with the COVID-related issues, and
In many ways.
definitely
Been
appreciate
easy.
your volunteer support on the city's planning related element, so. With that, that's the only comments I have.
I'd like to thank Denise and Lloyd for showing up here. It makes it a lot easier when you have, you know, your commissioners actually here to see what's going on and get a little better feel.
I was kind of startled when the applicant started talking, because I was thinking,
I
well,
know.
he's here, where is he? And then all of a sudden, I just like,
It kind of makes it a little hard, but anyways, Landon, thank you for putting up with all of our issues. I'm sure we'll come up with a solution for this. So with that, nothing else, we'll we're done.
I'm gonna just hold on to this, should I? Okay. Uh-huh.
I'll take the plans for the cattery so then I can,
Well, I'm gonna need them at the next meeting.
okay, then you can keep it and we'll
Yeah,
just.
and then I'll give them back to you. I won't
We're
mark
not
them
gonna
up,
give
I
them back, all
promise.
right? Live with it.